Okay, so this is a little project I'm working on. I have my winter tires on, which don't have tire pressure monitors in them. I don't feel like swapping them over because I'm in the salt belt and it's almost impossible to swap them over. So my tire pressure monitor light's on, which unfortunately means that I cannot turn my VSA off. You should be able to hold this, it'll beep, a little indicator. Hold on. So this is my girlfriend's 2016 Fit. I just wanted to show how it operates. Down here you have the VSA off button, the squiggly car. So you press it, you hear boop, the icon comes up. That's how it's supposed to work. We'll do a gauge check. That VSA off light that was right there should go off if I hit that button, but since the tire pressure monitors are having a malfunction, whether they're malfunctioning or low, if your tires are low or the system's having a problem, it seems as though it locks you into having your vehicle stability control on. So the vehicle stability control, I kind of count it as 3 systems, but now it's all considered one in a way. So you have your, what I call the traction control system, which is if you're trying to accelerate too hard, it'll cut power to the engine and apply brakes to whichever wheel's slipping to try to find the traction. So here I am, it's snowed a little bit, so if I punch the gas, you'll see the VSA light start blinking. So that's the traction control system, and that's truthfully the one that I'm most after disabling, because sometimes you have to get some wheel spin in order to get yourself unstuck. I'm not sure how much wheel spin this system allows, but it might be too much in certain situations, and I want to learn about it before I'm in that situation, not after. So the next part of the VSA is kind of a separate system, but it's run through the VSA computer, and that's the ABS. So if I get going decent speed and I slam on the brakes, you could hear the ABS. I don't know where my ABS light is. So VSA light on, and then you can hear the ABS functioning. That's that pumping sound. And if you watch my foot, not so much, but everybody pretty much knows what ABS is like. So the third VSA function is more what I call stability control. When you are trying to go around a corner quickly, basically, it'll try to apply brakes, that way you continue going in the direction you want to go. You won't understeer or oversteer, as in, you won't oversteer as in spin out, or understeer just kind of go straight into a snowbank. It's not quite snowy enough, but I'm gonna give it a shot anyway, because I'm trying not to hit the brake pedal, that way it's just applying it in general. If I crank the wheel, I think you saw the light up just a little bit, and mostly I'm not worried about, some people don't like this function. It takes away some of the control from the driver. Let's see if I can. Saw it flicker on because I'm trying to stay off the accelerator and the brake. So if I turn hard, you can see that the light came on. And I wasn't applying brakes or accelerator. And I'll try to do it again up here. I'll coast up here and up to this corner where there's all this snow. I'll cut it hard right, and you'll see that it comes on. So that's the VSA portion, and I'm not too worried about disabling the stability control, but I'd really like to disable traction control. One of the ways I'm going to try to disable the traction control is under your steering wheel covers. You look to the left-hand side, you'll see this little connector here. This is your steering angle sensor, and I'm going to unplug that, and as I expected, basically this is the VSA warning light. It's going, hey, I'm not getting steering angle. One of the things I was curious about, and it does seem to still work, the electronic power steering still seems to work without it, and that's one of the things I was worried about. So now I'm gonna get over in the crappy area with the VSA off. Now when I floor it, it should just spin the tires, hopefully. And it does. So that's good. And then if I slam on the brakes, ABS still works. So that's kind of a good. I'm going to turn around. So we're coming up to the corner. We're going to turn. And it's just going to understeer. No attempt at correcting me. I'm going to come up here again. And we're going to understeer again. Really bad. So unplugging the steering angle sensor does disable the traction control and the stability control. So plug that back in. I still have the light on the dash, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn the car off, turn the car back on, and it looks like that got rid of the code. Yep, traction control is working. Okay, we're back. Traction control is working. I haven't broken anything. It still seems to be reacting appropriately here. Yep. So it's still doing its vehicle stability thing. Okay. Is if you pull your center console apart, way up in the front is the yaw control sensor, or yaw rate sensor. Give that a unplug, and as expected, the VSA light came on. Okay, so with the yaw rate sensor unplugged, VSA sensors on, I can't imagine stability control working here. And it doesn't. It doesn't seem to be working at all. Traction control is not working. We should get it to activate here. No activation. Because I think it's because it can't tell if you're turning or not. So unplugging both of those sensors works. To disable the traction control. Oh, I didn't check to see if the ABS is disabled. Hold on. Let's go back. no VSA activation around that bend. ABS still works. So that's good. Things I wanted to try. Something I've already tried is unplugging the VSA switch. I know on some years that'll actually disable it, and that's a very easy job. You literally pull this panel off and then pull that connector out and you're good to go. So it's out of focus, I'm sorry guys, but you can see that there's a connector back there. This is the brake switch. I was hoping that if I unplugged it, and that's a fairly easy unplug if you're not holding a camera. Okay, just a tab on the back. This I'm not sure how I feel about, because the first thing it does is your brake lights do not work. I'm not optimistic about this because my VSA light is not on. I don't know if it would figure it out eventually. Oh, that's another negative. It disables the solenoid, so you can't shift it out of park without popping that. So that is not what I'd call a viable option. So I'm gonna plug that in. It's a slightly better view. Okay, so on your car, next to the hood release, via fuse panel diagram, we're gonna try to pull the ABS VSA fuse. So that should be this second 7.5 fuse right there. And basically what this fuse does, from the wiring diagram I saw, was tell the system that it's on. And right away I'm a little worried because the electronic power steering came on. And I suppose if you are stuck, you don't necessarily need the electronic power steering. Actually, and it might have put this in limp mode. You got just about every light on. You got ABS, brake. So it's hard to steer. So that definitely didn't work. ABS definitely doesn't work. So that's probably not a good plan. And putting that back, turned off most of my lights. And if I restart, I still have the VSA light on. I'll give it a little bit of a drive. It's possible. Let's see. ABS is back. Okay, VSA went out. Okay, we might be good to go again. VSA is back. Okay, my other thought, I really don't think this is going to work, is have your TPMS fuse, which is the next one down, and I can't imagine this working, but I was thinking maybe if the TPMS module just can't communicate at all, I'll try restarting our VSA is still working. My plan was that if the TPMS wasn't communicating at all, I might be able to use the VSA switch. One more thing I wanted to try is maybe turn on the parking brake one click, just enough to turn on the brake light on the dash. So we have our parking brake on one click. Let's see if VSA still works. Definitely still works. Maybe put it on a lot more. So now it should hold us in place. But so it doesn't seem to care. So the VSA, it's not as easy as putting on the parking brake. That would be fantastic to disable it. Right now my front tires are just spinning. Just out of curiosity, we got it on one click. VSA is active and ABS is active. So parking brake doesn't affect it either. So we're back to fuses for the ABS and vehicle stability control. So up here at the top we have a 30 amp. These are the box fuses, and those can be a pain to pull. And then way down here at the very bottom is a 30 amp fuse for ABS VSA. So the first one is this fuse right here, and my experience is trying to pull these out, you end up breaking the cover and stuff. So then you come down here, and this is your other 30 amp fuse for VSA, and this is hot at all times, so try not to ground it out. But now that that's pulled, you can see that the dash is lit up like a Christmas tree. VSA off, ABS off. That would probably be the easiest way to disable the VSA if you're stuck and need to quote unquote power out. But I believe it's putting the car into limp mode by the blinking drive light, and I will get a wiring diagram up to see what else it's disabling. I'm gonna put this back in, and then I'm gonna straighten out my steering wheel in case it needs to recline positions. Hopefully I didn't screw anything up, but I'll let you know. Okay, two things to note with my pair of pliers. I was not getting these box fuses off very well. Second thing is I recommend putting the fuse back with a pair of pliers. Once again, make sure you don't ground anything out. The reason why I say that is because when I was putting it back with my fingers, it fell down here, which doesn't look too bad, except for that is behind the panel with your fuse diagram, so you got to pull that off. There's just a couple clips holding it on. I got to pull them out and put them back in their spots because they stayed behind. One's right there and one's up there. but it ends up behind that panel, and that's so I have that fuse out. It has the VSA, the ABS, and the brake light on. I'm gonna go give things a test. I'm curious about that blinking D light, if that's going to limit my speed. So I'm going to test the traction control. I got one tire over on the soft shoulder, and I'm just going to floor it. Definitely no traction control there. And now I'm basically going to do the same thing with an ABS operation. Unfortunately, all of our snow melted, so I can't test it well. So we're going to go over on the soft shoulder, and I definitely just snow plowed some dirt over on the soft shoulder. No ABS engagement at all. So ABS and traction control are obviously off. I'm not sure, but this might actually disable, because this is probably turning off all the power to a lot of things, either the solenoids or the ABS pump. Because my guess is one of the 30 amp fuses runs a bunch of other stuff, and one of them runs the ABS pump. So let's do another ABS stop. Yep, back end started sliding around. So if you want a quick and dirty way to disable the VSA, that's how you do it. Okay, so I put the fuse back in. The drive light's still blinking. The ABS and brake light went out. So I assumed that now I'd have ABS. We'll give it a small brake test. And we do. And now put it in park, car off. Straighten the wheel back out just in case. Bulb check. The blinking drive light seems to be off. I'm going to cycle it one more time. Try starting it. Drive it a little ways. The TSA or VSA light is still on. Yes. I think I have some gravel over here somewhere. Yeah. So it's a nice little gravel patch here, so definitely wheel slipping going on. We're on nice wet pavement, so ABS does work. We're gonna put it in park again. Turn it off. I'm gonna take the key right out. Okay, third time's the charm. So, VSA light is off again. Get back onto the gravel. So VSA came on. That's something I've always wondered. Maybe if I go around this corner spiritedly. So, but I assume the VSA is working again. The light's back out. So I think that's everything, other than maybe a wheel speed sensor. Let me go ahead and do a wheel speed sensor if I can. Another not so easy way to disable things is if you look past your oil cap down here on the 2012, the ABS sensor comes through the fender, and I always thought they were in the wheel well, the connectors, but I'd be comfortable unplugging this to get unstuck because it's kind of sheltered from everything. So I probably cannot get it on camera. It looks like just a standard Honda squeeze plug. Okay. So it is a standard Honda squeeze plug. I did that. So I don't know what style sensor is in these Hondas. I'm not sure if it'll know right away that that's unplugged. Looks like it does. You got the ABS light on and the traction control light on. So we'll do an ABS stop. Definitely no ABS. And then we'll do a traction control start. Let me turn around. Back all the way up. And then actually shifted into gear and they kick gravel up. Now so we got the lights on now. If the closest pulley isn't that close to me, and then reach back there, plug it in. Seems to have a nice solid connection. Both lights are on. Let's see if they go off with a little bit of driving. So they are still on. VSA computer's got to be sick of me doing this shit. So, put it in park, turn it off. Cycle the key on, everything went off. Alright, so we should be back to good to go. So, I guess that's it. So, that's probably the easiest ABS connector to get to. There might be one in the trunk that you can get to, but popping the hood's pretty easy. So this is an overview of the VSA wiring diagram. I'm gonna kind of go through each component and whether testing it was useful. We'll start with the two 30 amp fuses in the underdash fuse box. Pulling them, both of them should result in a very similar thing of disabling the VSA traction control and ABS. And they'll probably both turn on your brake light and turn on a flashing drive light. The 7.5 amp fuse 11, is also the same story. It disables the VSA ABS traction control and also your electric power steering, so this is an even worse choice. It'll illuminate the VSA ABS, electric power steering, and brake lights and cause a flashing D in your brindle. I unplugged the brake pedal position switch, hoping that the data communication loss from it would disable the VSA system. Apparently it doesn't. All it does is disable your brake lights and also prevents the shift solenoid from activating, so you can't even get it out of gear. So that is not a viable option. The yaw rate sensor in the middle of your shifter center console is probably your best bet if you wanted to be able to switch off your VSA traction control. I'd probably just throw a switch in the black ground wire and put it somewhere on the center console. It just disables the VSA and traction control and one key cycle and you're back in business. You could probably also put a switch in the purple wire, but I like messing up grounds because they're easier to fix. The steering angle sensor, you could also probably switch that. Due to the location of it, you'd have to track down the wires probably lower in the dash for ease. I guess you could throw a switch right on the cover of the steering column, but that would be kind of hard. And it has basically the same effect as the yaw sensor, where it disables just your traction control and VSA and doesn't affect the ABS. So unplugging either one of those is a good option if you're just trying to disable the traction control VSA, but they do require an engine or a key cycle to come back up. Unplugging a wheel speed sensor is a pretty easy way to disable the VSA, but you're also disabling the ABS. From what I saw, the easiest one to get to is the passenger side front wheel speed sensor connector. It's on the inner fender from the, like if you're looking at the engine under the hood and you look like past your oil cap and down, there's a little connector right on the inside of the fender, and it's pretty easy to disconnect, relatively speaking, and it's also sheltered, so it is a viable option. If you're just a little bit stuck, you can get out, no tools required, and unplug it and plug it back in. It also requires a key cycle to bring the VSA and ABS system back online. The parking brake lever did not seem to affect the VSA or ABS system at all. It still tried to function. I'm actually a little surprised about that, but that's why we experiment. The VSA button itself is a good option if the tire pressure monitoring system is not preventing you from using it, because that's obviously the easiest method to disable the system if your tire pressure monitoring system is working properly. I found that unplugging the VSA off button did nothing on my car. On FitFreak it says that 2009 through 2011 you can just unplug it and it'll turn off the VSA, but I cannot confirm that. Okay, this is going to be a bit of a reverse. So your VSA sensor's back here. So I plug that back in. Then you have this heater, floor heater. I think it goes to the back seats. So you just kind of wiggle this out. Is the bottom part that you take out actually goes over it a little bit. So then it goes into these floor pieces, and it doesn't seem to snap into there or anything. I think it just sets on. Then gotta turn the car off. No, I don't go anywhere. To take off the center console, you're gonna need the parking brake pulled and the shifter kind of far back. It's real easy to get out. So there's just a couple clips in here to hold it, and you basically pull up here, give it a nice little tug, and that'll pop out. This cup holder piece just pulls out too. I'm not even sure if you need to remove this, but it said you did. So I literally just grabbed it here and pulled up. It's cold out, so my light's back off. Just wanted to check that out. It said that you had to remove this little piece in front of the shifter. I think that's just so it'll clear this not the shifter, the e-brake. Just so the e-brake will clear as you're pulling it off. And that's just got a couple clips. The rear is held in by one screw, and I might need to adjust that. I don't know what I think that's just my phone charger. My iPhone charger was trying to be in the wrong place. But there's just one Phillips head, or I don't know, maybe 10mm bolt. Sorry for the reverse disassembly, but at least you'll know how to put it back together. This video was for my own curiosity. You guys are just along for the ride. And then I probably lost them, but let's see. In the front, there's two little push pin clips that hold the front in place. They have these screw out. You just take you can probably pry the center out too, but just take a flathead screwdriver and they unscrew. Put them back, you just jam them in there. There's one on each side. Somewhere down there. So that's how hard the center console is to take out. Remember, shift it into gear, pull your e-brake, screw in the back, 2 pins in the front. Then you just grab it here and pop the whole thing out, and probably maybe the cup holder too. And then you have the heater vent. That's it for that part. So for the steering wheel cover part, you have a lower and upper cover. And I would say that I'm more likely to try to disable this one. Just check your wire colors and stuff. And I was thinking of having a switch to disable that sensor. But this steering wheel piece, I'm gonna pull the adjustment there. Now the wheel can move up. I have the wheel all the way down for filming, but the goal is to just kind of wiggle it in there. It has like a little hook on the bottom. There we go. Gotta turn the car back off, lose my heat. So the cover just kind of sits up there, and then I just adjusted it down. Then you have the top cover, and that once again, been a lot of trouble getting that in place. So I'm gonna put in, there's 3 screws that go in. One there, one to the left, and then one back here. Stand by on the one back there. Oh, there it is. Have to move the lever, but it goes in there. So I'm gonna put those in place, and then we will put the top off on. Okay guys, my tip is that this has little horns on it. The little horns need to go into those little slots. See the slot? The horn goes into that. Make sure it does it on both sides. And as you can see, now it's a one-handed job. And this is my girlfriend's 2016 Fit again. You can turn on and off the VSA. There's a procedure that supposedly you hold the brake pedal, you turn VSA on, turn it off. Let go of the brake pedal, pull on the e-brake, turn the VSA on, turn the VSA off, then press the brake pedal and leave the e-brake on, turn the VSA on, turn the VSA off, and it'll do that. Allegedly this is diagnostic mode, but this turns off like the whole VSA system. I'm not sure if this works on the 2012s, but I figured I'd put this in the video as well.